Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
John here.
Gina here.
Mick here. Hello.
Yes! First of all, how did you meet?
You sent me a message on Instagram that's like, yo, you buy a pedal?
What happens very frequently in Baroness is we take the A string, the B string, and we play, that's where our intervals are.
I think that's a guitar playing thing that we took for Gold and Gray and really kind of flipped it on its ass.
Right.
I think I set up 14 or 15 loud amplifiers in a circle. I think we all wore masks. And we lit the room, and the disco ball was going. We just went psychotic with it.
You guys are using single coil guitars and Fender amplifiers, and that is just the coolest thing ever.
I would just run around stage
Don't hold back, you were shredding.
playing pretty funny solos, and one of the guitars shot fire.
Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
John here.
Gina here.
Mick here. Hello.
Yes! Guys, John Baizley and Gina Gleason from Baroness. Guys, thank you so much.
Yeah,
This
glad
is
to be here.
awesome. Baroness is on tour at the moment around the UK and Europe,
Yes,
away for 10 weeks.
indeed.
Yes,
Yeah, just getting started.
just getting started. So last night you were in Glasgow. They've made a trip down and stop off tonight to come and see us. So we're very grateful. So yeah, it's a bit tight for space. Simon has had to put the wide angle lens on, and even then he hasn't got quite enough space to get the two pedal boards in, which is just epic. Mix off camera. We're gonna tag team. He's gonna interject. Here we go. So, right. Now, Gina, you joined the band in 2017.
Yeah.
And that was at the start of the making of Gold and Grey, the latest album. So how did that process happen? First of all, how did you meet?
Well, I was looking online for new fuzz pedals specifically, and
That's so cool.
at the time I was just really, I mean, not as much as I am now, but into tinkering and just collecting pedals and,
Right.
and just kind of tone
Can't
searching.
imagine what that's like. But
Yeah, can't imagine.
We're
But yeah,
infected
it's,
with the disease.
Something's happening too back here. Yeah, I was looking for fuzz pedals, and there's a couple cool guitar shops in Philly, and I was really specifically curious about what fuzz pedals were being made in Philly, our hometown. I live in Philadelphia. I was born and raised there, but I just looked up.
sorry, was that a sorry,
That was a.
Will Smith thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
I slipped it in.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's just something we have to do.
Of course. Love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think I typed in Philly Fuzz and found the company Philly Fuzz, and I was like, "What is this?" And emailed the guy making them, our friend Steve, and that's how I met John. I had no idea that John or Baroness was involved with this specific pedal company, but yeah, I mean, lo and behold.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had just begun to put our first model out, which was a Philly fuzz pedal called the Heretic.
Right.
And I mean, we didn't have any expectations about it. It was and remains a very DIY company. It's just three of us, and it's as organized as we want it to be at any given point in time, all built to order. And Steve and Pam, who are my partners there, contacted me, and I think they sent a link to Gina's page, and they said, "Hey, check this out. This is because I think you were one of, if not our first online customer."
Oh, cool.
Wow.
And because somehow they had seen your address, which was very oddly, I think maybe 2 miles from my home. And I don't live in a neighborhood that had where there's likely to be many guitar players nearby, and so they said, you should check out Gina's Instagram page, and I went to it and it was just like, oh, okay, this is an incredibly talented guitar player.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had been in Philadelphia for a few years, and I hadn't really met any other guitar players in Philadelphia to jam with or mess around with. And our rhythm section at the time our rhythm section lived in New York, and our guitar player at the time was down in Virginia. So I didn't really have
rehearsals. Must have been brilliant fun.
Yeah, they always have been. Yeah, there's always some traveling involved. Yet we rehearse as frequently as we need to. It's kind of strange, but I basically, I think I just reached out to you, maybe.
You sent me a message on Instagram that's like, "Yo, you buy a pedal?" And I was like, "Oh my god." Guy from
I should
Baroness
preface this
sent me a
whole
message.
thing by saying that Gina remembers things accurately. I remember them hyperbolically. So
Okay, all
my
right.
stories are sometimes more out there and incorrect. Anyway, the long and short of it was Gina came over to I think we were just trying to play music. Or just trying to meet each other and jam. I wanted somebody to jam with, and she was in town.
We were gonna make maybe some like short clips of like, this is what this pedal sounds like.
Right.
Oh, that's right. We
that
did a
kind of
demo.
thing. Yeah.
And we sat down, plugged our guitars in my home studio at the time. And it took me about 10 or 15 seconds to realize that I just found our new guitar player.
Wow.
Because at this point, our former guitar player, who's a dear and very old friend of mine, Pete, had decided to leave the band. And, against the trend, we did it in a friendly and familiar way.
Well, kudos to you.
It
'Cause,
had the least amount of hurt feelings in all 7 lineups that have existed in this band. So it felt like dumb luck, I guess.
Amazing.
In the same way that when our formerly our bass player and drummer had left the band in 2012, more or less Nick and Sebastian, who play bass and drums in Baroness now, were sort of the first 2 guys who came through the door, and they both blew me away. And then Gina was just the first person I'd play guitar with in forever that wasn't in the band. And I was like, Gina had like a more technical skill set than I had, which was impressive, but more importantly, like, she's a wonderful person. And we started playing, and I realized there was a lot of similarity in our technique.
Right.
And in our voicings and in the way that we played. So
Not
I didn't
so
really
that-
even
and
say,
the
honestly, I didn't
harmonies.
think about anybody else. I really
Right.
didn't,
Because when I hear you two sing together as well, and it's having, it's not often that you'll hear harmonies that just sort of sit so well. So it does seem like one of those fortuitous meant to be
100%,
things. It's
yeah.
amazing.
I asked Gina to learn a couple songs, and up until we started writing, we just, my idea was just that we tour so that we develop an on-stage chemistry. And, amongst the band members, we rehearsed a lot. We toured, I think we did a couple tours before we formally started writing, but it really felt seamless. It felt like it happened quickly. We moved at an incredible rate in getting Gina, like, enmeshed in the band.
Sure.
So the first show we played was in June of that same year, which was 2016 or 2017. I can't remember. But our first show was great. It was like,
Amazing.
it felt wrong how right it was,
And how much, because there's a massive backlog of material
Yes.
that you had to go into and sort of find your way through that stuff. I mean, what was that like?
It was awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I was a massive, massive Baroness fan
Wow.
before I met John. Or
So you knew the tunes, you had a...
I think I had at some point sat down and learned some of them before
You
ever
ever met-
encountering John. And
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
just-
That is amazing. Yeah. That is absolutely amazing.
I think maybe that's why too. Once we played together, like, we definitely had like a weirdly like similar style.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was a little weird.
It was super weird. I even questioned that night whether or not you had prepared somehow for that, because it was eerie how, we were like, there's some things we do in Baroness with our guitars that we do frequently that I think are more or less unique to the band.
Right.
Like we use these like kind of 10th chords all the time, and Gina was doing that already, and it's sort of a weird way that in Baroness that we split up the separate notes of a chord in order to play chords in an interesting way. What happens very frequently in Baroness is we take the A string, the B string. And we play. That's where our intervals are, and then by simply focusing on these two strings and changing the voicings, we're between the two of us. We're just playing one chord. Sometimes we're subverting it, but this is like the unofficial intro to a song that has quite a few of them. So. Resolved so nicely.
And sat here and having the harmonies on either side, sounds ace.
So I think what we do that a lot, and we don't always do it clean. Sometimes it's distorted. There's interesting ways of if somebody's playing these sort of 10th chords, somebody's playing power chords over top of it, and you can make these really dense sounding chord progressions out of. I mean, what the progression we're playing is extremely simple. You could play it all in open chords if you wanted, but we find that when we do that, it's got its own particular flavor, and it's a weird amount of space in between the notes, so you can really hear the harmonic diversity as those things ascend and descend, and bass notes change, and alter the structure of the chords. I think I don't know why that's a thing we do. It's just a thing that I figured out.
It's something I always liked about Baroness as a fan. It's like a really country sounding thing, like country style guitar, and
you have roots in country, don't you? Well, you're brought up in that world.
It's hard for me to claim it because I live. So many of my friends were more actively invested in it, but I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, so there was very frequently bluegrass being played around me. There was very frequently country being played around me.
Right.
And I had developed, I think in my early 20s, a real interest in, sort of vintage country. And it's, regardless of whether or not I wanted that or cared about that, I've come to learn in recent years that when you strip away the artifice of these voicings and everything, we're really just dealing with like the basic chords, diatonic scales, basic chords.
Yep.
I only learned this stuff in retrospect, honestly, because I'm pretty self-taught. I just happen to play in a band now with 3 people who know theory,
right,
and who've taught me to articulate what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, I always thought it was cool because when I would boil down the essentials of a lot of our songs, and really from basically the beginning of the band, like it is, they're sort of country chords. They sort of have that, so they lend themselves. You can play all this really sort of Baroque, layered, detailed stuff, but underneath it is there's an easy palette, like an easy bass to sing over
accessible,
and create compelling melodies.
I think that's a guitar playing thing that we took for Golden Gray and really kind of flipped it on its ass.
Yes.
Let's take this, but with even denser chords and even closer intervals that were spacing out in smaller increments.
So let's talk about Golden Grey for a minute, because there's a couple of moments on there. The dynamic range of that album is incredible, and a lot of it. So a song like Borderline,
Yes.
for example, it starts off and there's a sort of riffy, heavy guitar thing, but you don't realize throughout the journey of the song that by the end of it, you've been dragged into this heavy, another atmosphere has been created, but it hasn't punched you in the face. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's been
Yes.
dynamic all the way through the tune. It's built and built and built and built.
Every moment of that song, well, that really Borderlines and Seasons off of that record, each successive part is just louder
Yeah.
and
right.
denser than the part before it.
But it's not. But it doesn't come up and just go, "Here's the new part of the song." Bang! It sort of builds to a point, and then, it's wonderful. Really, really great.
We got incredibly I want to say intelligent, but I don't think that's the right word for it. We got very analytic at certain points with these songs, and across the course of the record, and we've done this on records in the past, maybe in more obvious ways. But each song contains a portion of another song,
Right.
and every interlude is a reinterpretation of a primary melody or a theme that you've either heard before or will hear in the future. And
Wow. Looking at the effects and boards that you've got, how are you bringing that to a live show now?
This is pretty much what we used to record the album.
Right.
I mean, with some variants, because like how you're saying, like we kind of overanalyzed like every part and every riff, every like time we would double something, it had to be with a different amp that was with a different mic, different guitar, different set of
and maybe
pedals.
like a slightly different rhythm or slightly
Something.
different take on the melody or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which
But-
again is something that has existed in the past in our music. We just went psychotic with it. We went so far with it on this record that most frequent emotion that we had as we were tracking was confusion. Just
Wow.
but like an amazing like how do we do that? What is that? What is the sound that's going on here? How did we accomplish that? How is this combination of four independent rhythms and four independent senses of melody and time and texture, how do they blend together? And it's in these very unique ways that sometimes I think are irreplicatable, but my perspective on records is it just has to sound better than real. And then when you play live, there has to be a solid foundation that you can do. But it's, so much of what happened on the record was based on reactions or improvisations that it lends itself very well to reinterpretations live. But yeah, like Gina said, we basically used some variation of these boards, maybe a few things switched, and then we did have the X Factor, which was what we called the mega board, which was about 3 by 5 feet, a board on the ground.
It was something for everyone to trip up over
Yeah, and
anytime anyone walked into a room.
It had like 30 or 40 pedals on it.
Nice.
All sorts of, like simple loop stations. And we could just, when we wanted something different, we would just default to that because there's something interesting in there. And unfortunately, I don't really care too much to catalog it or keep track of it. So much of what we did, so many of the details are sort of lost to time, I'm sure, already.
But you're a details person, right? You keep track of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You've got a journal where you wrote down every pedal combination,
Yes.
a signal path for everything that you did in the album.
Yeah.
And then we'd post those on the walls so that we wouldn't forget the ones that were really special.
Right.
Yeah.
Listening to, first of all, to say, it's a, I guess for all intents and purposes, a metal band. Even though it's
difficult. It's difficult to say that, yeah, because
but you know what I mean. It's been
yes, I do.
since since the early days, it's sort of been categorized as that. You guys are using single coil guitars and Fender amplifiers, and that is just the coolest thing ever. But I can understand that because of the sonic range that a Fender amp gives you, and the dynamic level that the single coils give you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes certain things more difficult.
Sure.
For instance, there's as many effects as we'll use sometimes, there's still a naked sound underneath it,
Right.
which doesn't want to be off time or out of key. Which with the single coils and the amps and everything, it's difficult to mask that.
Yeah.
Where it would be more simple under what might be considered more obvious examples of I guess metal guitar rigs,
Right.
which tend to have a lot more sort of soft saturation, and you scoop out your mids and everything like that. We bump them, and more often than not, and really pay attention to the attack of the strings and the dynamics and everything like that. But a lot of times, what we'll do in order to create these textures, well, more often than not, it's kind of dumb luck, honestly. But for certain songs, like we have a song called Tourniquet on the new record, which is, I think it's kind of the same chord progression, just over and over again. And there's like a little bridge section, but it's mostly the same thing. We just and we do this live. Each section of the song sort of morphs or gets louder or gets, the effects levels get wetter and then drier. And that has the effect that sometimes, just like going from a clean channel to a distorted channel will have for other bands. For us, sometimes it's from like a really wide reverb to a really tight, compressed, lower drive kind of channel. So I think it's probably easy to show you examples of each of the sections of that song.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
They have different textures. Some of them are dry, some of them are wet. There was that, and there was a Cold Blooded Angel was the other song where sometimes it's Gina's playing just a beautifully dry guitar. If you isolate Gina's guitar, it's
way clean.
It's a very clean guitar. To me, like when we were tracking that song, that was, I think, the first part that we did, and I think you originally started off with some effects on it, some reverb or something, but
Ended
the
up
dry
just
thing
like-
sounded so
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
He was just
And-
this guitar through Princeton.
And this, and you just sat there and played it for a minute, and your rhythm was so good that I think there was even like 1 or 2 moments where you like your fingers kind of
Oh, totally.
brushed the strings,
scratches.
and you were like, "Oh, should I do that again?" And I was like, "No, that's because you got it right," you know. And then, for me, sometimes it would, maybe it would be classier to hold back and try to, do something harmonic. But what I'm doing is a little bit of harmony, but a lot of. I'm just trying to create like a wider texture around what Gina's doing that complements it and allows Gina's guitar to be more audible and more central and more of a focus to the song, whereas mine is just keeping, maybe keeping some atmosphere or laying down the vibe so that our vocals can rest easily, inside this very sparse,
Right.
otherwise chord progression. And
Is that the Dispatchmaster?
no, that's the timeline. And
Really?
one of the pattern settings set really fast, where it sort of takes on a slightly reverb type quality, and it's the stereo is on this is part of my favorite thing about it. I've always thought that sound in particular is very. It can be very unexpected for our fans to hear, or people who maybe haven't heard our band a whole lot.
Sure.
Don't expect to show up and see a significant portion of our set played more or less through clean guitars.
Yeah. So what about heavy tones? How do you guys approach that with 2 guitars? Are you going for different sounds, or are you thinking different harmonically? How does that work?
Kind of harmonically. I mean, I like just like gain stacking things, like just running like the compressor through the fuzz is cool, or like having like low drive and fuzz, so it's not just like totally saturated all the time. It has a little bit more character, but a lot of times live, I'll just like take a look at and see like if we're doing like a harmonized solo, like see if he's on the neck pickup, I'll go to the bridge, or like
Yeah.
vice versa.
Wow.
I'll just like have a look and see where he's at. Like
Yeah,
there's a nice moment in Isaac where like it takes a minute before it goes in like the first note of the solo, and I can like definitely like see where we're at if I like
Yeah.
roll off the tone knob or something like that to get just like more characteristic fuzz sound.
Yeah, because I think in the end, we're not interested in sounding like each other. It's not
Sure.
the parts, even when the parts are doubled, the tones are meant to be complementary
Sure.
rather than parallel, I
identical,
guess.
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean?
Okay.
So through these particular guitars and amps and setups, it really allows the character of the guitar, it really allows the character of the effect, and the character of the amp to shine through. So more often than not, it very much sounds like 2 different instruments being played,
Right.
which makes the moments where we play similar parts have a different kind of impact. Like
Sure.
whatever elements of my tone lack, Gina's have in abundance, and vice versa.
Right.
So it's they're somebody's usually darker and somebody's usually a little bit brighter. But we both set up these G2s more or less in the same way.
Right.
And really the first 5 settings are simply the drive options. You got clean channel 1's clean, channel 2 is an additive compressor. Depending, channel 3 is what we call our low drive, which is it's sort of like a clean tone with plus a little bit of saturation.
Can we hear that?
Yeah. So
I have the EQD Westwood that I just put it on for this tour. Actually, it's extra compressor in there, but it's pretty warm sounding.
the low drive that I use is a full. I think it's a Generation 3 or Mark 3 OCD. I've kind of had them all. I don't know which one this is. It's one of
The
them.
1.3.
1? Yeah.
1.3. Okay, yeah. And
I didn't know that because we've just done a show on them.
Okay, yeah.
It's,
I started playing those in the early 2000s because nobody else was.
oh, wow. Okay.
And then it became a very popular
Yeah.
thing. So it had been off my board for a while, but I like its tonal options and I like the character of the drive.
And the gain range on them is amazing.
Yeah.
Like to nothing. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and you can use it as almost a clean
Yeah,
boost
yeah.
to really heavy.
And the
they're
1.1
great.
is really beautiful, but I've only got one, and I don't want to.
Sure.
I don't want to lose that one.
Sure.
But the options that Gina and I have across the spectrum of this are pretty significant, and I apologize if these levels are all off, but with these 5 settings, which I call clean, comp, overdrive, main distortion, and crush, I can sort of get all the textures that I want out of dirt. This is my clean. Here's compression. As you can hear with that compressor, it really is. It almost acts as a boost as well.
Yep.
And with smaller combo amps, it can act as a bit of a drive. It'll saturate the tubes nicely. My low drive, which we just heard. Now with that low drive plus the compression, I get sort of an interval in between the two. Then my main drive, which is a Hotcake, double Hotcake. I'll put on the double right now because it sounds awesome. And
so good.
To that distortion, I can add the drive. And it sort of pushes the high frequencies as does the compression. And then finally, I have the pedal by the company that introduced Gina and I, which is my company, Philly Fuzz. This is our third model, which is called the Infidel, which is a kind of gated fuzz. I haven't really dialed in the tone too much, but it'll sound cool anyway. So there you can hear very clearly the difference between the fuzz and distortion, and the drive itself is notable.
Sure.
It becomes far more bright and like sizzly and
But
whereas the drive
mid-range character changes as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so occasionally I'll even put an EQ at the end. I'll put a small 3-band EQ on the other side of the fuzz so that I can even adjust that.
Right.
But there's some sort of equation I'm sure that would be easy for a mathematician to do. With these 5 pedals, offer so many combinations in conjunction with one another, and they all, like when we're playing live, for instance, it's as Gina says, like we very much like interact with one another as we play. So it's not. I don't use necessarily the same settings every night. Sometimes I can.
That's so nice. So you keep things open and free, so you can. There's still room for spontaneity and.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Totally.
So what about your gain structure then?
It's the same like chain of events.
Right.
I just have different stuff. I have the SP compressor. Everything I have is just like a little bit darker than John's, kind of for that complementary like purpose. My clean channel has the compressor just like built into it.
That's so awesome.
But yeah, stuff like that, like the fuzz doesn't necessarily have to be such a big jump in volume. It's more of just like a shift in tone.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we do so many harmonized solos that there's no like backing guitar. It's kind of all.
We have to fill out a lot of space.
Yeah, totally.
So that sound that you played at the start, that what do we call it? The modulating delay thing with the pitch shifting
Oh,
thing
yeah,
and
yeah,
spiral
yeah.
up.
That's the data corruptor.
Right.
It's this like 3-voiced guitar synth that just gives this like square wave fuzz, and it's
So when do you know when to use a sound like that in the song?
as often as possible.
Yeah.
Live, I only use this once in the set. It's at the end of our new song Tourniquet. We do this like thing in 5 where we're just all hitting like open D. We tune down to D standard primarily, and on the record we kind of did this sound destruction thing at the end of the song that leads into like an
The amp
interlude.
hinge thing.
What was it?
Amp hinge.
Yeah. How many?
I set up with as many loopers as I can to create as many AB or ABC splits. I think I set up 14 or 15 loud amplifiers so that each one of the 4 of us could play through a certain portion of that. Some of us were playing through 4 amps, some 6, but everybody's playing through it. We stood and we pointed them all towards the center of the room and in a circle. I think we all wore masks, and we lit the room, and the disco ball was going. And there
Nobody was there.
Nobody-
We did this.
Just for
For
yourself, just
we
ourselves.
survive.
didn't catalog this moment.
Not at all, yeah.
We just did it because it seemed right.
Probably better than.
And you know, the part is weird because as a guitar player, it feels we're just doing accents. We're going bum bum bum. These big. I mean, they're D chords, but they look like E's for me. So we're just sort of doing this, and you know, everybody else, you know, drop to major 7s or whatever. They'll add little extra things, but it's the 4 of us playing guitar simultaneously in the middle of a room, surrounded by amps, and I don't know what sense it made. I think there was a near field room mic in the center of us, and then maybe one external
We
room
have to
mic.
do this. We have to.
You could
try
do
that.
this in here, yeah. It's a bunch
It's
of
it was
amps.
psychotic.
But I think the closest way to replicate that live is just
It's just
this
to
guy.
just destroy.
That is a sound that goes right up your spine. I mean, it's wow. It's fascinating when I hear a sound like that with Earthquaker and Old Blood Noise. There's a couple of companies who are doing
Yeah.
these amazing sort of textural devices, but often it's hard for me to think of them used in a practical application.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the problem with them is they make a cool noise that you can use on a record, and then it's hard to justify using it live. But we're taking that step.
that's awesome. Yeah,
I
but
mean,
yeah,
there's
but to
a
hear
way-
it like
yeah.
that, and you can see exactly how that adds an element to a piece of music. That
Totally,
would be,
yeah, yeah.
but like without that, I don't know how else you would get that sound.
No,
Yeah,
you,
no,
could,
totally.
you could
Amazing.
not. You could not. It brings me such pleasure every night that we play to hear exactly what that one does because it's not always the same.
Yeah,
I know,
right.
as long as the
And-
volume is the same, I kind of just like
Let it do its thing.
Do
We're
whatever,
not
yeah.
averse to, either one of us getting on the ground and manipulating in real time because that's what they do,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think for a lot of people, especially if the textures are important as what you guys do, having those things in front of you so you can get down and manipulate, especially if one night you're playing in a room to, a few hundred people crammed in a tiny little venue where the atmosphere is different. Next night you're in a stadium, or a big open air venue, then you need to be able to get to these things, to change, you know, how that is impacting with because like you're saying before, you guys have a lot of freedom on stage, so there is space to be, you know, free and what's the word I'm looking for? Improvised
yeah.
and spontaneous, you know. So, you know, and that's one of the reasons I've always loved pedals. So you have that ability to go and just tweak on the fly.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, totally.
And
I think it's critical because that's how we make discoveries at home.
Yeah.
And I think that the duty or the obligation of creative guitar players in 2019 is to mine those, you know, find those stones that haven't been turned over in the river yet and see what's underneath them, regardless of how ugly or beautiful what's underneath them may be.
Yeah.
Those are the things that haven't been done yet. And, you know, for a band like this, which is on paper 4 musicians, you know, 2 guitar players who sing, a bass player and a drummer, we're playing in a format that's exhausted.
Yeah.
It's exhausted. Like the really groundbreaking first time, you know, stuff happened years and years ago. So now it's, you know, for me, it's become a bit of a challenge to play music that, you know, that I want to hear, that has, you know, all the musical elements that I like, but also to find out, to discover and take part in the adventure of finding new pathways through those songs and new ways of playing them, even at the risk of maybe writing something that doesn't sound that great. The process of asking and searching is
you've got to be willing to go there.
Yes.
You've got to be willing to, so that you know, you've got to be willing to make the mistakes or to do the stuff that doesn't necessarily sound great, so that you find the stuff that does.
Yes.
You know. So you do all the artwork, the albums as well, and the artwork on Golden Grey is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. But what I love about it, like the album, it's so detailed. There are so many layers to it. I can stare at that thing for an hour and just be discovering new things all the time. It's amazing. But it's like the songs, you can let the songs just wash over you, but then when you start getting into them, there are all those layers and all those details, and every little thing is considered. And I love that is in your art, whether it's in the music or whether it's how you draw, it carries through.
This has taken me a lifetime to contend with and reckon with and balance, but I think that is part of how I operate creatively.
Do you see images when you hear the sounds and things, like a synesthesia type thing?
I don't have synesthesia necessarily, but I think I'm more like traditional in the sense that I feel the transformative power. I feel the therapeutic power. When we're playing live, if we all check out and come back when the show's over, then we did the right thing. You know, the music's supposed to take us and everybody else out of reality for a few minutes and offer us some new perspective or give us some, form of communication, or it draws us and our crowd and everybody involved together, and that's really what it is. It's not so image related to me, but part of the way that I work, I'm positive it frustrates everybody in the band, and Gina will be nice about this and not agree with me, but I'm obsessive compulsive, and that's where the layers come from. I have to. I'm really like, well, we started this, so we're going to finish this.
Right.
We are going to finish this. I don't care what it sounds like at the end. We're going to get there. I just feel like, in Gina, I've found some kinship in that exploration as well.
Gina, I wanted to ask you just briefly, before you joined Baroness, you were with Cirque du Soleil. So what was that?
Yeah, I played guitar for a Cirque du Soleil show and played a character that was playing, I don't know how to describe this. I was playing live guitar in a show that I would just run around stage, like shredding and like.
Don't hold back. You were shredding.
Playing like pretty funny solos, and like one of the guitars shot fire out of it at one point.
You're trying to make this sound not cool, but it does. Yeah, come on. You said guitar that shoots fire. That sounds cool. I'm sorry.
It was a really cool experience. It's 484 shows a year. So after
I know
a couple years of doing that, and it's the same thing obviously over and over again because they run a really tight ship. I think any like production like that, like of that caliber, is really like dialed in, and I think that's why I got so into pedals, because there I was playing through a Fractal Axe Effects,
right?
And so all my patch changes were changed with like the MIDI, like via MIDI time code. So whatever like other automation or like scene change things were happening, like my patch changes were like right in there, and programming the Fractal was really intense.
Right.
Like being like, all right, I need these sounds, go in and sort that out.
And going from such a regimented musical environment to where you've got now pedals and amps, you dial things in, but things are still free. It doesn't seem like it's taking you too long to get to a point where that you were just really home there.
Yeah, no, totally. And at home and in bands and like anything I was doing outside, like that kind of thing, I think for a musician, not to sound like dark or anything, but it very much turns into like, this is my job that I go to. And like, and that's cool. It's an awesome, like incredible job to have. Like,
sure.
Great thing to do. But anything outside of that, like, I mean, there was like a good year there. I was like, I'm just going to be locked in the house and not leave and just play with pedals and make music and record stuff from home. And it was like that year that I met John and all of that. But,
it's so great.
Yeah, no, totally.
We're at the point now where, because of the technical realities of our music, and because over the years vocals have begun to play a much more important role in our music, and being Gina and I being harmonically on and being able to hear each other in the midst of this swirling miasma of octaves and delays and whatnot. We do use in-ears, but you still have to, it's still a part of the show is that I can feel the air moving around, and I can hear the beauty is that I can if I'm playing something in stereo, I can feel it moving around my head because I've dialed it in. But I think at the end of the day, we still have to cross-reference that to a fully real analog environment from time to time.
Sure.
And just to make sure that it's there. But the fact that you don't always know exactly what response you're gonna get when you play your guitar, change your pickup, touch this,
hit the data corrupter,
any of them. It's the fact that you don't always know 100% of the time exactly what's gonna happen is critical.
Yeah.
It's critical. It's where
keeps you engaged.
It's where you improve your songs as you play them. Yeah.
John, Gina, thank you so much. This has been awesome, and I am genuinely inspired by the sounds I've heard you guys create today. It's
awesome.
been honestly, it's been fantastic.
Thank you, man.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, a massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is...
Anderton's Music of Guildford in Surrey.
In Australia...
Pedal Empire, and I'm very inspired too, I just like to say.
A massive thank you to anyone that's gone to thatpedalshowstore.com and grabbed t-shirts and backing tracks and cups, and it's all there. Also, a massive thank you to our patrons on Patreon. Guys, thank you so much. Literally couldn't do it without you. Okay, guys, have a fantastic week again. Thank you to John and Gina from Baroness.
And thank you for having us. This again, I can't stress it enough. This in the whole world of things that we could be doing, this is one of my favorite things that we have done.
We watch you guys all the time.
We were very excited.
Mate, no, it's been an honor. Brilliant. Cheers, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.